Modeling, adding, and subtracting of integers. Let's take a look at this a little bit, and we're going to separate our page. We're going to make a plus sign and put adding on one side and subtracting on the other. And we're going to talk about how modeling is affected with both of these. So we're going to start on the adding side, then we'll talk about subtracting. So when we look at adding, for example, this is an addition problem, and we have two positive numbers. I'm going to number our number line here from 0 to 8, just so we have some numbers on our number line. And when we go to model this, we know that whenever we model, we always start at 0 because we have no value until we get to the first number. So the first number is 3, so we're going to take this to 3. And we're going to add 5 more, so we're going to start on top of 3. So we want 5 more on top of the 3, so we're going to go in this direction, and we end up at 8. So that shows us, that models to us why 3 plus 5 equals 8, which I think is pretty straightforward. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at another problem here, which is also an adding problem, but we have numbers going in opposite directions. So let's do on our number line again down here below. Let's start at -3 and work our way up. And once again, we're going to always start at 0, so we're going to put our dot there because that's where we start. We have nothing to begin with. We have +3, so we're going to go in the positive direction 3, 1, 2, 3, which gets us to the number 3. And now this says -5. So when I put my dot on top of the 3, instead of going to the right in the positive direction, this is negative, I'm going to go in the negative direction. So I'm going to go back the other direction 5, so that's 3, 4, and 5. And I end up over -2. So that's why we know that 3 and a -5 equals -2. Now let's talk about a subtraction problem now. So let's write here 3 minus -5. Now when I'm looking at this problem here, we know about subtracting integers. When we subtract integers, we really are going to add using the additive inverse. So we're going to keep the first number, we change the subtraction to addition, and then we take the additive inverse of -5, which is what number would I add to -5 to get 0, which would be +5. So really, this subtraction problem that I have here with two minus signs we see here, right? This is what it means, because we want the opposite of -5. So the opposite of -5 is +5. The opposite of subtracting is adding. So when we're doing the opposite, we're going to flip those signs over the second integer. And what happens, and you can see this, what happens is this statement or this expression is exactly the same as this expression. So if we were to consider our steps, what our steps are to model subtraction is we want to first take the subtraction problem and turn it into an addition problem. Once we do that, we can go back and model just like we did before. And I think I have one right here, so let me move it right there. Okay, and we're going to do the exact same model where I'm going to put the numbers from 0 to 8. And it's going to be the same model. I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go to 3. And then I'm going to add 5 more. And I end up at 8. Same model. It's exactly the same. Can we see that? So let's talk about this last one down below here. I'm going to give you a subtraction problem. So 3 minus 5. Right? So here we subtracted a negative. Here I'm going to subtract a positive number. So we know that we don't subtract integers, we add the additive inverse instead. So keep the first number, I change it from subtraction to addition, and I take the opposite of +5, which is -5. And we can see, once again, this is the same problem as this was over here, right? So if it's the exact same problem, we're going to do the exact same thing with our number line. So put our number line here. We're going to have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to do the exact same thing where we are going to start at 0, go to +3. And because this is -5, we're going to start on top of the 3, and we're going to go in the opposite direction here, and we could see that these are identical graphs. So really, when we're modeling subtraction, we really are changing. If we're going to think about what our steps are, we're going to change our subtraction to an addition problem, and then we're going to model just like a normal addition problem. So hopefully that helps you to understand how we model adding and subtracting of integers.